3 cents cheaper than the regular steelbook. 3 cents. Thanks, Walmart, for rolling back those prices. Hi guys, Keeter64 here, and today we're talking about Top Gun Maverick. That's right, the biggest movie of the year is coming to physical media, and I'm hyped for this. I'm hyped for this. There's a whole lot of options out there with different box art, so we're going to be talking about those different options, where you can get them, as well as a couple box sets that are actually coming out after the initial release. So if any of those sets are interesting to you, I would suggest holding out and not getting the immediate physical media release and going for those box sets. So we talk about all of that. I'm going to be talking about how the rollout for Top Gun Maverick is very old school and why that works here, as well as some making some points that I think as to why Top Gun Maverick is such a success. Like, it blew Hollywood's mind. Their mind was blown by this movie, and I have a couple points as far as why I think this movie was such a success, and I'll share that at the end of this video. But I'm pretty sure Hollywood's going to take all of the wrong lessons from the success of this movie and produce and pump out some things, not actually understanding why it was a success. And again, I'll get more into that here at the end, but let's look at the numbers real quick. So as of filming this video, according to Box Office Mojo, the domestic gross for this movie is $715 million. That is domestic gross.
And who you think you kidnapped, Chelsea Clinton?
Worldwide, we're talking about $1,482 million. This is the number 5 highest grossing domestic film of all time. This is not adjusting for inflation, but still the 5th highest grossing domestic movie of all time, and the number 11 worldwide gross of all time, not adjusting for inflation. And that's a big success. Why? Because this movie wasn't released in China, right? Hollywood has consistently disregarded the American audience. Over the last, I would say 10 years, you start to see this transition to a point where the American audience gets left by the wayside, and Hollywood only makes the movies for 2 different types of audience. One, the Chinese audience, the Chinese market. They gear their movie towards that. And 2, Hollywood makes movies for Hollywood. They really just ignore the American audience. They take the American audience for granted. They've left them by the wayside, and they've driven off in their car and just left everybody to sit there wondering what happened. What happened to movies, right?
What is going on here?
At $1,482 million worldwide without a Chinese market release, that is really the number that I am the most impressed by, because again, no Chinese market for that. So, but we'll get more into all of that stuff here shortly. I want to talk about the rollout for this movie. The rollout for this movie is old school, right? First, we have the theater release, and it's been in theaters for many, many months. Why? Because it continues to make money in the theaters. So it lasted in theaters exclusively longer than any movie I could think of recently. And then they had the digital only release, right? And you can actually get the digital release for $19.99. You could buy it. That was released on August 23rd. But then we've got the release date for the physical media, which is coming up November 1st, right? And what's missing in there? No streaming date, right? There's no official date for the streaming. However, I would suspect that it's going to be on the Paramount Plus network, which I actually have still. I currently have that for a couple different reasons I won't get into right now. But the CEO of Paramount has said that Top Gun Maverick is to be expected on their Paramount Plus platform by the end of the year. So my expectation is that they're probably going to have that out around Christmas time. Again, no official date is actually out there, but I suspect based on their release, they're given 2-month windows for each one of their releases as it goes from theater to digital to physical media to the streaming service. And honestly, that's the best way to maximize your profits on this rollout. I think that this is the way that they should approach it. You know, there's all kinds of different ways that they've messed around with releasing stuff. There's things that don't even get released on physical media anymore. There's stuff that gets released in theaters and streaming the same day. they did mess around with that. There's things that go on streaming after something was in theaters like 6 weeks ago. Very strange. It's very hard to track when things are going to be put on streaming, when or if things are going to be put out on physical media. So I think that they've done a great job with the rollout of Top Gun Maverick, and it's a good thing that they did, because this is a big money maker. This is the biggest movie of the year, and it's huge. It's a big deal.
I'm kind of a big deal.
So let's go ahead and take a look at the physical media options for Top Gun Maverick. Let's look at the art and the box options we have available. First up is a basic box 4K for $30. This is the basic release art. This is what you're going to be looking at. Looks just fine. Nothing too crazy. $30 for this 4K. Now, they also got the Blu-ray, which is $25. Again, same art for this one. These are both of the basic releases. I don't know at what point Blu-rays started being $25. I haven't gotten on new releases. I predominantly go for the 4Ks or the steelbooks and that kind of thing. So I haven't really kept up with the Blu-ray prices. I think 25 is about what they've been going for. They used to be $20. So, but yeah, Blu-ray is $25. And this is the one I'm most looking forward to, which is a 2-pack of both Top Gun movies. So you get Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick for $40. I like the art here, and I don't own the first Top Gun. So if you're in the same boat as me and you don't own the first Top Gun and you want to get both movies, I think this is a great deal. At $40 for the 4K, it's $30 for the basic 4K. So for $10 extra, you get that first Top Gun on 4K. I think that's a really good deal. And like I said, I really like the art here. I think this art is great. Like this is the one I'm leaning towards. I am a steelbook collector, but I really like the art on this. So this may be something that I end up picking. This may be the option that I end up going with, but there are some other options that are very interesting as well. So speaking of the steelbook, let's go ahead and talk about the steelbook here. So the steelbook is $35, standard price for the steelbook. It's a $5 upcharge from the basic 4K. That's been the case for, well, as long as I can remember. And this is what the standard steelbook looks like. I don't dislike this steelbook, but I actually, like I said, I prefer the art on the 2-pack more. I think if you had the art from the 2-pack on a steelbook that was and they had the upcharge for a 2-pack steelbook of Top Gun, that would be my preference, because I think the art for that 2-pack would work better as a steelbook. But yeah, I don't dislike this steelbook, but it's not impressive enough for me to go with the steelbook over the 2-pack. For me personally. But that is not the only steelbook option out there. That's right. Walmart has their own exclusive steelbook, which almost never happens. And not only do they have their own steelbook, they have one of the most interesting steelbooks I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Walmart has one of the best releases, and I don't think I'd ever say that before, because Walmart, generally their exclusives involve like some kind of bonus action figure or a little bonus disc or booklet or something like that. Very rarely does Walmart have the best option. So it's weird for me to say this is the most interesting and maybe the one that I'm kind of leaning towards. That is the Top Gun Maverick Steelbook exclusive art on lenticular magnet. So what does that mean? So as you can see, it's got to be a plate or something. It's either got to be an additional steelbook plate, I'm assuming, that probably attaches via magnet, right? I have a steelbook display up on the wall. I use magnets for that. So I'm going to guess that is what this is. This probably attaches via magnet to the front of the steelbook, so you could change the cover of your steelbook. I think that is very interesting. I almost want to get it just for the curiosity's sake. I don't particularly think either of the covers is that interesting. I don't dislike them. Again, I think I'm just enamored by the 2-pack. The art for the 2-pack, I think I prefer. But I don't dislike this, and it's very interesting. Also, what's interesting is that the price is $34.96, so it's 3 cents cheaper than the regular steelbook. 3 cents. Thanks, Walmart, for rolling back those prices.
Rolling, roll back.
But wait, that's not all. That's right, Amazon has their own exclusive limited edition steelbook set that includes both Top Gun movies. This is currently still available on pre-order. However, if this is the option that you want to go with, you're going to have to wait 5 weeks past the initial release, because while all the other releases are coming out November 1st, this one is releasing December 6th. Kind of a strange option, but Amazon wants to do their own thing, I guess. It is interesting that they're not releasing this the same day as all the other ones. but there's lots of different things in this box set. There's like, it looks like there's coasters, there's stickers, books, looks like postcards and pictures and stuff like that. Comes in this nice box. Looks like you've got some dog tags. I'm just looking at the picture, by the way. I'm not looking at the list of everything in there as I talk about this. And then you got these two steel books. I do like the designs of both of these, and I do think that they complement each other really well. It's good to have that symmetry between both your movies if this is an option you want to go with. Obviously, I'm a steelbook collector, but I don't know if this is something that I want to go with. I think it's slightly overpriced based on the things I'm seeing here in the picture. $139.99, so $140. Again, you can get the 2-pack on 4K. It's not a steelbook, but you can get just the basic movies, the 2-pack on 4K for $40. So you're really paying a lot of money for the bonus to get this exclusive gift set. And there's not really anything I'm seeing that warrants the price for me personally, and that tends to be the case with some of these box sets that I'm noticing. Like there's some cool, some of them, the little knickknacks and things. It almost seems like one of those loot crates. That's just me personally. If this was at a lower price point, this may be something that I would consider. But for me, I think that $140 is overpriced. That's just me. But if this, I do like the steelbooks though, and I'd be curious to know if they end up releasing these steelbooks outside of the gift set. It could be, but I don't know. I'm gonna guess that the art for this is gonna be exclusive to the gift set. So if you want to wait 5 weeks, you can pick up this gift set December 6th. So those are your options, at least that I've tracked down. Those are the options that I think are available at this point. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into me talking about why I think that this movie is a success, because I originally talked about this at the beginning of the video, but you know what, I was like, you know what, let me address it more towards the end of the video. I'll talk about it here. There's 6 points I want to make as far as why I think this is success. There's probably some other points as well, but there's 6 that I just want to talk about in this video, because I think Hollywood's going to take the wrong lessons from the success of this movie. But let's go ahead and look at it. So here's my first point I want to bring up is Tom Cruise. So one of the reasons this movie was a success is Tom Cruise, I think, is at the height of his popularity right now, because of the types of projects he's on, the amount of effort that he puts into the projects that he's on, and because the Mission Impossible movies have been so good. The last couple Mission Impossible movies have been far and away better than the earlier Mission Impossible movies, in my opinion. So I think Tom Cruise, I think that helps sell this, right? The other point I want to make is brand recognition, right? Top Gun is a recognizable movie. It's a quintessential 80s movie. It gets referenced and talked about and all kinds of things. That even gets referenced in Archer consistently.
Seriously, Lana, call Kenny Loggins because you're in the danger zone from Top Gun.
And while it is a recognizable brand, it's not anything that anybody was clamoring to see. At the same time, they waited 30 years to even attempt to try and do anything. So it's like this franchise is burnt out in any kind of way, right? One of the third point I want to make is that it's still its own movie. You can watch it without watching the first Top Gun, and you can still enjoy this movie. It's not a requirement that you do, and I think that's important to the success of the movie, is the fact that you don't have to see the first one to enjoy the second one, right? The fourth point I want to make is the older audience, right? Hollywood, as I said earlier in this video, has thrown away lots of taken for granted the American audience, but they've also thrown away the older audience. Like they don't make movies for the older audience anymore, because they're outside of their key demo, right? Top Gun Maverick got a lot of older individuals into the theater that have not been in a very, very long time. And I think the older audience is a big portion of the success of Top Gun Maverick, because, like I said, they get ignored, they get overlooked. And the fifth point I want to make is superhero movie burnout. I am a superhero. I like superhero movies. I'm burnt out on superhero movies, not just because of the quantity of them, if the quality was still up, but as we've gotten more and more of them, the quality has continued to decrease. So outside of just getting burnt out on the superhero genre, the movies just really aren't that good anymore. And I'm a superhero fan. I've collected comics since I was a kid. I am predisposed to loving those movies. I used to get hyped for when the new Marvel movie would come out. I don't care about these new Marvel movies. Superhero movies, I think burnout has caused other movies to stand out because superhero movies, there's so many of them. Top Gun was not a superhero movie. People went to the theater to see that, to see something different. And the sixth point I want to make is something that I mentioned to begin with and several times in this video, and that is the fact that Hollywood has consistently ignored the American audience. This is a pro-America movie. What do I mean by that? I mean the fact that this movie was made primarily with the American audience in mind. And we don't get too many of those anymore because, as I said earlier in this video, the two types of audiences that Hollywood seems to make their movies for is the Chinese market, and then Hollywood makes Hollywood movies for Hollywood. They make movies that they want to see. And so I think that's a very important point. I think that's one of the most important points. I'd say point 6 is the most important point out of everything I mentioned here, but I'm sure there are more points out there. These are just kind of 6 that I came up with while I was making this video. I was like, you know what? I want to talk about some points to why I think this movie was a success. If you're still around this video, thank you so much for sticking around. I wanted to talk about a whole lot of different things with this movie and with this physical media release because there's so many things that that they've done right with this movie that I think it's worth talking about and making a longer video about. But what do you guys think? What are some other points you think might point to why Top Gun was a success? Which physical media set are you guys interested in getting? Definitely comment and let me know below. I always like seeing what you guys have to say. And thank you for everyone for sticking around this video. Thank you, subscribers. All of you are awesome. And if you like this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Do all the YouTube stuff or don't. I'm not a beggar. I'm Geetrue64, and I'll always tell you the truth.